Hello, and welcome back to the Self Comfort Diaries. This is a podcast focused on all things self comfort, self care, and just generally trying to make yourself feel happier in life. Today, we've got a very special guest called Elaine. She's a Reiki master and a British School of Meditation teacher. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for inviting me, Katie.
No problem. I'm so excited to have you here because I remember when we met on one of our mutual friends, personal trainers, on a little walk, and we just I felt like I really got on with you, and I was really interested in your craft and how you sort of got into that. So I thought it'd be a really good idea to kind of get you on the podcast today. So just give me a little bit of information about you and how you kind of got into Reiki and just
Okay. So I've been having Reiki since 2004, and I was introduced to it by my best friend, who's a very trustworthy source. I call her my earth angel.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, she's we all have soulmates, and she's definitely my soulmate as in a friendship.
Yeah.
And basically all through my life, I did have like career prospects, but I always wanted to be a mum. And I had my eldest daughter Millie in 2001, and it did take a while. I would have had a child before I got married because I wanted children that much. Anyway, it didn't work that way. It all worked the way. Got married, got the house, and got the baby. And we call Millie one in a million because we just thought, finally, we got here. But then when we decided we want to bring her another brother or sister, I really did struggle. And I actually went through a fair few miscarriages, and I miscarried twins. But at the time, I'd lost one early on, maybe about 8 weeks, 9 weeks, but then I carried on, and I think it was about 12, 13 weeks. So it was relatively early on in the pregnancy. But because my passion was to have children, I was basically devastated. So my best friend said, "Why don't you try Reiki?" So I asked her what Reiki was, and she told me that there was this lady that did it, and she was lovely, and you lie on the bed, and she put her hands on her, and I'm like, really?
I think everyone kind of feels a little bit like that about Reiki. It's like the unknown. They're a bit like,
So I was a skeptic, but equally, I felt very low, a very low mood. It wasn't myself. I normally pick myself up pretty quick. Let's move on. That's happened. But again, because I just felt it was never going to happen. So because of who told me to try Reiki, then I just thought, oh, you know what, I'll just give it a try. And one thing that she said to me, which a lot of people say to other people, is, you know what, it's an hour out your day where you're just going to switch off and relax. Why don't you try it anyway? And I remember coming out of that session and I felt so much lighter. And it's one of them things you can't really explain, because energy, we are actually all made of energy. We are energy. We're more energy than we are physical. And we hold a lot in our energy fields. And it's something, because we are physical human beings, we don't it's not logical for us to process that. We need to see things, we need to feel things, but our energy field is huge, and a lot of what we go through in life is stored in our energy fields. I continue to have Reiki then, personally. I didn't really tell many people about it because I'm going back like 20 odd years, so it's much more acceptable now. We try a lot more holistic practices. There's a lot of talk about the energy and the vibe. That was like 20 years ago, and I have, like I say, I've been through quite a few things, and it's really, really helped me. It's helped me with bereavement. It's helped me through career changes. It's helped me through, obviously, loss. I've had quite a lot of loss in my life. I lost my dad when I was 19, and I've lost brothers and sisters along the way as well. So I truly believe without Reiki in my life, I wouldn't have managed the situations
So how do you
as
feel
much.
like Reiki personally helped you with those things that have happened to you? Like, how do you feel like, because obviously for our listeners that are still kind of new, they don't really understand like what it is. How did it personally help you, and how could it help other people as well?
So what Reiki does is, how I sort of compare it to as a modern explanation
Mm.
is, when you've got your mobile phone and you
Mm.
start to pressing the screen and nothing's happening,
Yeah.
and then you go, oh, and you start to clear the apps down, and you're like, oh, right, it's working now.
Yeah.
We've got to view ourselves like a mobile phone or a computer, and we get full up with everyday life. In the way society is now, it's very, very fast paced. We're at the
Mm.
end of our phone all the time. We're very contactable, so we never switch off. Gone are the days, and I'm showing my age now, where like Sunday was a day of rest and
Yeah.
all the shops were closed, and we used to like just rest, and it was family time. And
Yeah.
but everything's open 24/7. I say
Mm.
we're expected to meet deadlines, so we don't switch off enough. So what happens, we actually hold all this in our energy.
Mm.
So a Reiki session can help to, I always say, close the unnecessary apps down, because there is still apps that you need to keep open
Yeah.
to deal with things.
Yeah.
So when we've got, it's like if you've got a messy desk, where do you start?
Mm.
But once you tidy your desk up, you think, right, I can prioritize. I need to do that particular job.
Yeah.
And I feel that Reiki helps you to organize your mind a little bit better, so
Okay.
that you can manage the important things in life.
Right.
So it doesn't take away. If somebody's going through bereavement,
Mm.
a relationship breakup, I'm not saying it takes that hurt away,
Mm.
but it creates that space in your mind
Mm.
to focus on that and not all the unnecessary stuff.
Yeah. I guess almost like decluttering and maybe seeing things a little bit clearer so you can sort of help yourself. Is that kind of how you would explain it? So it just kind of helps you get, does it help you get rid of that unwanted sort of energy that's kind of stuck?
Yes, it does. It
Yeah.
can also, because again, I must admit, again, when I was only 19, I think when I lost my dad, I don't think I grieved till months after,
Mm.
because I mean, I was only 19, so I just go out with my friends and you
Mm.
know um party and do things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't actually think I actually grieve
At the
initially.
time. Yeah.
So I feel like I held that in my energy a long
Right.
time.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with some people, and that's what I'm
Mm.
saying. Some people who lose someone, and certainly they're a parent themselves, they
Yeah.
have to like look after the children, have to look at, after, if they've lost a parent, have to look after the other parent. So
Mm.
their own feelings get like
Pushed away.
just held.
Yeah.
And I always say that that box will eventually need to be opened.
Yeah.
So I feel that Reiki sometimes helps someone open that box. What it does, it brings things to the surface. Whether that's something physical, we had this conversation. You got to feel it to heal it.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that way of saying it.
Yeah, and if the thing is, there's no avoiding grief. There's no
Mm.
avoiding upsetting emotion when when you have a breakup, or
Mm.
if something happens in your family. It's quite, there's no avoiding them emotions. But I feel that Reiki helps you manage it
Yeah.
um better,
Yeah.
because you let go of the stuff that's unnecessary,
Right.
and
Okay.
we do fill our head with a lot of
So
unnecessary
how does it
stuff.
work in terms of, because from my understanding, I understand about like the chakras and all the kind of energy within your body. Does it? How does it work with that? Like from like what's the word? Like a scientific perspective. Is there any sort of evidence that has shown that it like is really beneficial towards, like, because obviously like you said before about people like to see tangible things, don't they, to
Yes, they do.
know. I'm
Yeah,
a big
yeah,
believer in all of that. Like
yeah.
it really changed my life when I really started to sort of tap into that world. And also on what you were saying about talking through your emotions, I learned that very
Mm,
young, to actually speak about how I feel, because I didn't talk about a lot of stuff for so long. My dad kind of left the family at a very young age, and like I didn't speak about it for ages, and
mm,
it was affecting my whole life.
mm.
And then I went to therapy, and it all just like came out, and I felt so much lighter. And it was like this
Yeah.
kind of releasing of all this stuff that I guess I'd stored really in my brain and in my mind, that was affecting everything. So I can imagine in a similar way with your energy sources and stuff. Back to the question I was going to ask. Um, is there any sort of scientific evidence that does back up this, or is it still kind of quite on the surface and it's just kind of like you have to kind of experience to understand whether it is
Um,
for you or
I do think you do have to experience it. There's lots.
mm,
Reiki is used in America. Well, it's used in hospitals in America.
okay,
It's used. There is like Reiki specialists who go into operating theatres and all
wow,
sorts. So there's lots. There is research out there,
yeah,
but when we come to research, it comes down to funding. It comes down to money
yeah,
and where the money gets placed.
yeah,
So sometimes there's and when you and for it to be scientifically based,
mm,
it would need quite a mass number of people
people,
to participate, and the
right,
funding isn't there for it.
yeah,
So it has been going on for years. It is, and then it's like meditation,
mm,
energy work. We're actually tapping back into the old
mm,
style of healing.
mm,
The body is the greatest healer. It
yeah,
just but if we're short circuiting somewhere because we've got a lot going on in the mind, then the body
yeah,
will take longer. I do have a little diagram here
yeah,
that will
let's have a
actually
look.
help explain it a little bit. So I'll just pass it here. Can you use it?
Yeah, yeah,
So basically, I always, because you can't see energy, I always use this diagram. And this diagram here, the white area does represent the physical body.
yeah,
So as physical human beings, we're pretty much okay with understanding if we've got pain, we've got a cut, a bruise, etc. So
mm,
we go to doctors, we try and get that sorted. But the physical body sits in this big energy field, which is called your aura.
mm,
Now, again, a term that is used quite loosely now is, oh, you've got a lovely aura around you. That means people feel quite comfortable in your
mm,
company. Equally, you might actually meet someone and not feel that comfortable. They've not
mm,
said anything, they've not really
mm,
done anything, but you just don't feel. And it
yeah,
might be that your energies just don't connect
mm,
because your energy field, your aura, it goes from 6 feet to 66 feet. And that all
wow,
depends on how you are vibrating,
mm,
which I'll come on to. So, if you're in high vibration, you will generally be in high mood, motivated, really focused, higher awareness, alertness,
mm,
etc. So, you'll probably be making better life decisions. When you're in low vibration,
mm,
your aura retracts. So, it's probably maybe only like 6 foot spectrum rather than the 6 feet,
mm,
and you can have low mood, brain fog,
mm,
fatigue. It can actually start to affect your body physically,
yeah,
because what actually sits in this energy body as well are these chakras here. So that's the energy. So chakras are Japanese word for wheel,
mm,
and they should be spinning around effectively for you to have optimum health and well-being.
right,
But because they sit in this energy field, now obviously this diagram is only one dimensional and we're certainly not.
yeah,
But because your chakras sit in these energy body, they do get affected mentally, how we think, emotionally about how we feel,
mm,
and then this is our etheric energy. Now, your etheric energy is your soul energy, and
right,
your soul is basically your blueprint. It records everything that's gone on in your life from
mm,
childhood and what's happening right now and potentially what's to come.
mm,
So that's why life events will affect your energy system, and it can start to slow these chakras down, and that can start to, like I say, cause that low fatigue, that low mood.
yeah,
Um, but by having or using any sort of energy work, and Reiki is just one option,
mm,
it helps to clear all that down so these chakras start spinning, and that's how you start to lift your vibration.
right,
Um, so when people talk about, and it's quite trendy now and it's on TikTok and things like that, but high vibe
yeah,
and yeah, vibe. It is what we are. We are
yeah,
more vibration than we
mm,
are physical. So some physical ailments. So for example, we can hold a lot of emotions in our stomach area.
Yeah.
So people with IBS, for example, yes, certain foods and certain things
Mm.
might actually affect their sluggish system,
Mm.
but equally, that's where they might hold their emotions. So when they get nervous,
Mm.
they might get butterflies in the stomach,
Mm.
or they get tummy aches. A lot of children will complain that they've got a tummy ache and they don't want to go to school.
Mm.
Um, and then give them a spoonful of Calpol and they're running around in the afternoon and the parents going, you could have gone into school
Yeah.
today. But that child might be nervous. That
Yeah.
child might have fell out with Freddie in the playground, or the
Right.
teacher might have told them off the day before. So what's going on in their mind can also affect how their physical body is feeling.
Yeah. I
Hence why
100%.
a lot of
Yeah.
people suffer with headaches when they've got a lot going on, tension
Yeah.
headaches. You're having any sort of physical symptoms, you've got to sort of like look at what's going on in your life.
Mm.
The physical body is the last to react. So
Right.
if you're starting to feel it physically, you've normally allowed things into your energy and you need a
Mm.
little bit of support in just to letting them go.
Yeah. Wow.
So
No, that's really interesting because I'm a big believer in like when you super stressed and like you starting to feel like I think one thing for me, I get quite bad headaches when I'm like overthinking,
yeah,
like behind my eyes and all sorts. And I think like for me, I look at obviously the body as like obviously you've got your energies, but you've also got like all your tiny little sort of. I guess the way I look at it is if you put enough sort of strain on the links and the chains within your body, they break and things happen, and your body starts to tell you. Like I start to get like really dry skin and breakout stuff when I'm not good, and I look at it and think, right, I need to do a bit of self care. I need to
yeah,
really read. I need to drink more water. I need to. Then I feel better mentally and emotionally as well. So that makes so much sense how like that really does affect it. Um, in terms of like sort of like your auras and energies and stuff like that, is there any other ways that apart from Reiki you can kind of recommend to people to, I suppose, raise the vibration? Because obviously with vibrating on a higher energy, you do tend to attract more better things into your life, and
yeah,
like attracts like and stuff. So is there anything that you would recommend to people that they can do to sort
yeah,
of raise that
certainly.
vibration?
The so meditation's really, really good as well.
Yeah.
Um, Again, I always see Reiki as a bit like a real cleanse of your energies.
Yeah.
So you're going out with a bit of a clearer canvas.
Yeah.
So then to start meditation once you've had Reiki is really good maintenance. Um, so basically, with meditating, people will try it and they'll go, "Oh, I can't do it." There's
Mm.
lots of different types of meditation as well, and that's the thing.
Right.
Um, so some people with a very busy head may struggle and may
Yeah.
think, "Oh, I'm just being distracted." But what I need to encourage people to do
Mm.
is meditation is not about always getting to that. And people who meditate on a regular basis probably understand what I'm talking about. It's like that meditative state. It's very peaceful. It's very
Mm.
calming, and that's where you will get a lot of healing and you'll get a lot of clarity. And if you're asking for guidance, you want some help with a situation, and you're asking for them ideas to come through,
Yeah.
that's where you'll get it. But it's the journey to that place. So if you sit and you do start to sit quietly for 5 minutes a day, at
Mm.
least starting with 5 minutes, just closing your eyes, you can do some guided meditations, which is
Mm.
basically like a story being told. But because you're just focusing on that story, whether it's taking you on a walk on a beach through a nice forest, lots of greenery,
Mm.
then you are focusing just on that story and you're not thinking about what's for tea, what deadlines you've got to meet,
Yeah.
how much money you've got in the bank. You're just focusing on that one thing. Meditation is about just calming the mind, not quieting it completely. So
Yeah.
people, when they get distracted, they go, "Oh no, I can't do it." But if you can start to just think, right, so that what's for tea has just come into my mind.
Mm.
As long as you don't get caught with who's doing the washing up, who's putting this washing, as long as you don't get caught up with them thoughts,
Yeah.
then and you just get back to what you're listening to or back to whether you're focusing on your breath, then that is a really good. So it's almost like you can't train your brain that well.
Mm.
Probably that's not the greatest expression. You can't, let's say, you can't quiet the mind completely
Yeah.
because that's what the mind's there for.
Mm.
But it's just quieting it.
Yeah.
And then when you do go into work and you've got a piece of work that you need to do, but then you've got a lot going on, you can just
Focus
focus on
in.
that. So you're taking that skill into your everyday
Right.
workplace, and then you're not going to create stressful situations because you're
Mm.
trying to juggle too much.
Yeah.
And that's, again, that's the modern day life. We try to juggle too much, and it's
Yeah.
okay to want to multitask, and
Mm.
is expected a little bit, certainly in the
Mm.
workplace, and certainly being, again, in the family home, and
Mm.
trying to, juggle a family and work, and
Mm.
getting your own self-care in as well,
Yeah.
which normally does tend to come to the bottom of the list,
Yeah.
which, again, sorry, digressing a little bit, but it draws me back to when we went for our walk, and
Mm.
I was saying, when you get in an aeroplane, they tell you to put your mask on first before you can help others.
Yeah.
And a lot of people forget that if your battery's flat,
Yeah.
you're not
Can't pour from
helping
an empty
grandma,
cup.
mum, you're
Yeah.
not helping your children, you're not performing in the workplace.
Yeah.
So it's really important to keep, like you say, your vibrations
Yeah.
up. So meditation's really good. Exercise, a
Yeah.
lot of people, because, again, physically, it's scientifically proved that when we exercise, we produce endorphins, we lower our cortisol,
Yeah.
which obviously is stress related. It gives us that feel good factor. It creates them happy
Yeah.
dopamines. Being outdoors, when we're near lakes, mountains, waters, greenery, that helps us to ground as well.
Mm.
We do need to be outside more.
Yeah.
I know the UK is not the greatest sometimes, but even, as long as we're wrapped up and, we've got an umbrella, then
Yeah.
we do need to be outdoors. I'm conscious that I don't get outdoors because I
Yeah.
do thrive
Yeah. Same. I always
outdoors as
feel
well.
mentally so much better if I get outside.
Yeah.
Like this weekend, I woke up and I thought I'm going to take my dog on a boat on the Lake District because I'm not doing anything else.
Oh,
So
brilliant.
I just did that, and I felt just felt so peaceful. Like I feel
Oh,
like it
being
shuts
near
your mind off,
water's
doesn't it?
amazing.
Yeah.
It's very cleansing, but also, it's very tranquil. And again,
Mm.
a form of mindfulness which people can incorporate into every day. And you don't even have to think, right, I'm going to do mindfulness today.
Mm.
It can become a bit habitual.
Yeah.
So mindfulness is more about being present with where you are. So you being on and the lake with your dog
Mm.
would be just sitting and thinking that the colour of the water, the colour of the sky, the
Mm.
trees are green. I can hear a dog barking.
Mm.
This
I feel like I'm there.
water's cool. Yeah. So it's about being present. When you've got a
Yeah.
hot drink, this tastes sweet, this tastes bitter.
Mm.
Um,
There's
it,
a thing as well, but it's similar to that. It's called like mindful eating,
yes.
which is like when you cook a meal, just sitting down, having your tea, and just eat, just
I'm
tasting
putting
the
your phone
food.
away.
Yeah, just being
Yeah,
more zen with
because
it.
again, it's heightening your senses,
Mm.
which is really important. Sometimes, I know we have to eat food to survive,
Mm.
but yeah, sometimes we're just not enjoying. And then when we start to do that, we might
Yeah.
start adding a little bit more colour to our food. What you put in your body is very important as
Yeah.
well. That's very important to fuel you. It's like
Yeah.
putting petrol in a car. So good food, and then we all like, the wrong things as well. I've got, yeah, chocolate, sugar, yeah,
Balance though, you got to have balance. Yeah.
it's got to, yes, hence find your balance. So yeah.
Yeah, balance is quite a strong word that I live by in my life, because I think you can get quite caught up in all of these things that you think are going to make you feel better, but then sometimes you need to cut yourself some slack, because you can be so, I think sometimes people can end up, I've been guilty of it in the past, where I go too far one way
Yeah.
and then I do something where I fall off and then I hate myself for it, and it's like,
Yeah.
why just live life with balance? I think, because as well, like with dieting as well, sometimes I think when people go on these like really really strict diets, sometimes they can, they go too far one way, they drop all this weight and they feel really good, but then they fall back, and it's just like a yo-yo. Sometimes you've got to
Yeah.
find a balance in between, and find this way of having a new lifestyle. And I think with bringing in a new habit as well, like with meditation, like I've done it before, and I can really feel the effects of it. And when
Mm.
it trains my mind to just not not react as like, I don't know, just kind of be a lot more peaceful with things in day-to-day life when stressful scenarios come up. Sometimes if you sleep in and your alarm doesn't go off and loads of stuff's going on, I think it's just that way of coming back to the moment, going, I can't do anything about it now, it is what it is. It's like, I think with meditation it teaches you to really be
It
a bit more
does.
zen with that. So, but I think in terms of a habit then, incorporating something like meditation,
Yes.
how would you recommend people sort of, so there'll be people that have maybe dabbled in it before, like me for example, and seen the benefits, or there'll be people that maybe do it or fallen off, or people that do it a lot and they really know the benefits, or there's people that are listening now and they've gone, meditation might be looking at it the same as Reiki. I'm interested, but I don't know. Like, I'm not that quite sure. I might dip my toes in and see how it makes me feel. How would you kind of recommend to them how to start off with it? Like, what would be the best sort of advice on that, do you think?
I always think a guided meditation is the
Yeah.
easiest one to
Where can you
start
get
off with.
those?
Or YouTube are full of them.
Yeah.
And again, you've got to connect with the voice as
Right.
well,
Yeah.
because as I've said, we are all vibration.
Yeah.
So that's why we've all got our own different interests in music, because that is how the vibration makes you feel.
Yeah.
So just going on to YouTube, you can put in for meditation. Else, it depends what you want. So some people, so for example, I did a sound bath yesterday. That's another
I
another
need to
energy
come to
healing.
that. I'm
Yeah,
going to come
they're
to it.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So I work with Tara at Rochdale Pilates doing sound baths,
Yeah.
and with the crystal bowls, they represent each one of your chakras, and the vibration of the bowls help to, again, as Reiki does, help to balance out your chakras. Excuse me. And I give some Reiki as well, so that the energy flows. But that is another example of how a vibration can help. Going back to meditation, again, for the music to feel right, for the person's voice, then you just need to try a few different ones. And the reason that I was digressing again. The reason I went onto the sound bath, when I was going through, we had about 15 people in yesterday, and then the theme that I was picking up, because obviously I work with energy, so I do connect with people's energies, and because we do have a spiritual energy as well, and so that's something that I do connect with. And I was picking up quite a lot of self-doubt in that room. So one of the things that I did suggest they go away and do is practice some positive affirmations. And your solar plexus, which is just here, just
Yeah.
underneath the breastbone, that is relates to our self-confidence, and this is the I can chakra. It's where we get our strength from. When we tend to give out a lot to other people, it does need replenishing quite a lot, so that needs topping up. But we need to be telling ourselves that I can, I am, I am valued, I am worthy, I can do this. And so saying positive affirmations verbally, if you can do it in the mirror, and you can do that straight away, that is great. For you to stand in front of a mirror and say, I am beautiful, I am strong, it can feel a little bit cringy at first. But if you can say that with conviction,
Yeah.
you will start to feel that, and
Yeah.
people will be like, yes, right. But honestly, it's one of them you've got to try.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
do positive affirmations at night time, and I write them down. Why it's downloaded from here onto paper,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm making that commitment to them positive affirmations. I give up gratitude every night. I'm grateful for that parking space, I'm grateful for that opportunity, I'm grateful for the money that's gone into the bank that day. And then I finish off with positive
Do you
affirmations.
do that every day then?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll do a little bit of meditation at night time. And to me at the moment is a little bit of manifestation and visualizing where I want to be in life, who I want to be with in life. Um, but I focus on emotions, how I want to feel.
Yeah.
So, if I want to feel safe and secure, if that means having financial abundance, then I'll, I trust that will come my way.
Yeah.
If I want to feel loved and happy,
Do you try
and
and feel
trusted.
that emotion then when you're writing it down and stuff?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, I need to
I
try that.
do. And that's one thing, like on my Instagram page, you might think, oh, I should always posting pictures of myself. It's just another tip.
Yeah.
I'll find a photograph, and it tends to be when I'm on holiday and I'm relaxing and I'm
Yeah.
experiencing new things.
Yeah.
I'm always happy in them photographs.
Mm.
I'm not going to post a miserable photograph.
Trying.
But then I'll put a positive affirmation, and then I'll actually use that as my screensaver.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah.
when you're seeing it every day, it's
Yeah.
just reminding you what that is. But I'll also might put some affirmations on them depending on what my clients have been coming in with. Sometimes there is a bit of a theme about how people are feeling. I
Yeah.
see that with people coming in all the
I saw
time.
something actually. I think it was a while ago now. I think it's on the podcast, and someone was just talking about similar to what you've just said there, where it's like that picture of you smiling with the affirmation. Someone was talking about putting a picture of them as a child on the mirror to say
Yes.
like, when you're waking up, I'm doing it for you, and like,
Yes.
going back to that kind of like just feeling good about yourself, saying that I'm going to do something good for that little girl, because that she's still within you, isn't she?
Yeah,
It's like, and I
that's your
thought
inner
that was
child.
really beautiful. That I thought it was really cute.
Yeah. They do say that we're programmed from a very, very young age, and we do have our inner child. And there's a lot like, what would you tell your inner child? Unfortunately, I've just got goosebumps coming down. Unfortunately, a lot of people do carry a lot of, I'm going to say, childhood trauma, and some can be quite extreme,
Yeah.
and some can be just that one comment, and it might not have been said with intention. So for example, and I have actually, there is a lot again, Mind Valley is an app. It is something that you do actually subscribe to, you pay for, but there is some like hypnosis sort of meditations, and it will take you back to a time where you felt these sort of feelings, so that you can understand and work on them.
Yeah.
So it is said, and this is something that I've listened to. It is said that if you have a parent who's constantly telling you that you can't have that because we can't afford it, you can't have this, then you're going to
Take that on.
naturally inbuilt have a fear of money.
Yeah.
And it might be that you use that to drive you, but even when you've got that money, you're constantly striving for more. That's just one example. If you've got a parent who said, why are you thinking of doing that? Are you really, and doubted your, even if, you're a child at 5, or if you can remember that, or 7, and you've said you wanted to be a pilot,
Yeah.
encourage that child. I didn't
Yeah,
know that
definitely.
now. I've been
Yeah.
guilty. Sorry,
Yeah.
girls. I
Yeah.
have been guilty of going, really? You want to do that? But you also want to be a realist as well. And I do step back sometimes and go, oh, in my head as a parent, I think you shouldn't have said that. But I'm only learning that now,
Yeah.
that what's coming out from me can have a real big
Yeah.
impact on that child.
Yeah.
So you need to tell your inner child, you know what, you thought you couldn't do this, and you've done really well. Look how far you've come.
Yeah, definitely. Talking to that inner child, I've done a bit of work on something similar in therapy. Where I'd go back to that feel like someone has made a comment in passing in high school, completely
Yeah.
irrelevant to my life now, but it isn't. It's because that comment, they might not have meant it. It might have been something really minor, like I used to have a bit of paint because I used to do art, and so I used to have paint on my blazer that my mum just couldn't get out. And I remember someone saying, "Oh, you're a scruff, you," like, and it's
Right.
like, no, I'm actually trying to express myself through art, and I can't get it out because it's like a stain.
Mm,
But or something else like that someone might have said, and it sticks in your brain.
it does.
And it's like now I'm like very prideful about my appearance and things like that, because it's like that little comment, then
Yeah.
it affects you throughout your whole life. And it's like sometimes you've got to go back and say, you got to go back to that, what that little girl or boy or whatever was feeling,
Yeah.
and then really try and tap into that and say that, you can, like, for example, want to be a pilot, or some little kid says, I want to go to the moon. It's like, in your head you're thinking, but you probably can if you want to go be an astronaut.
Mm.
at some point, if you put your mind to it, you can absolutely do that. Like,
Yeah.
so you've got to, like you say, you've got to encourage people from that young age, but then also encourage yourself. Like
Yeah.
that little person that maybe have heard them comments, and sometimes it does affect you, doesn't it, without you realizing.
It does, it does, and I say, and we're all guilty of saying it, whether we've said it to a friend, whether we've said it, say, to children, or we might have even said to our parent, and
Yeah,
but yeah, a lot of things that we carry forward do tend to be
yeah,
from our younger days, and they're in the subconscious mind.
mm,
Again, something like energy healing might bring that to the surface,
mm,
because it does actually help support like therapy as well,
mm,
because it gets you to talk, it gets you
yeah,
to, again,
yeah,
the phrase, it's good to talk.
yeah,
There is an element like not to overshare as well.
yeah,
so
yeah,
so it's like getting the balance there,
yeah,
because when we overshare, then we're basically
mm,
giving people the right to judge as well.
mm. Especially
So
sometimes I think when you overshare, well, not necessarily overshare, but if you say something and you've said it to the wrong person,
mhm,
you feel that straight away. It's like the energy of like, oh, I said that to that person.
yeah,
Like,
and then
but
that
then the other side,
anxiety.
you speak to someone, you have that conversation, and it's the same conversation, but you get that response back of like, it's a really good friend, and and they give you that, and you just the energy just feels right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. So in terms of like the inner child and how you feel about yourself, like I always say it starts with how you feel about yourself. Everything in your whole life, your relationships, your work, everything always starts with, if you're feeling good about yourself and you're projecting that good energy, then more positive things will come back. So on that, is there anything that I guess in terms of maybe like the ego, is there anything on that that you kind of feel like people can work
Work with,
with? Yeah.
yeah. So obviously, just clarify that with the inner child, and say that there are things that can be brought forward, and that's something that we can start to deal with, and we can
Yeah.
start to put actions in place, and then go, I've done this for you,
Mm,
look how far I've come. With the ego, right, so the ego is that monkey chatter. So
mm,
basically, again, we need the ego. We need the ego to sometimes challenge us and say, "Oh, are you sure about that?"
yeah.
Because the ego has been created in life for our own safety, but it can get a little bit loud and a little bit
Yeah.
noisy. So when we do get excited about, so for example, if we get excited about a new opportunity, a new relationship,
Mm,
um, then the ego will come in and go, "Are you sure you're capable of doing this? Are you sure that you want to go into this relationship?"
yeah.
And we can listen to it and then go, "Yeah, I'm going to try it, because if I don't try it,
Mm,
I don't know. So just be quiet for a bit
yeah.
until I get a little bit." But sometimes people listen to that ego straight away, and that fear factor kicks in,
Right.
and they need to, how they can maybe try to, um, not listen, is building up that strength, like say, doing the meditation. You know what you've got to do? You've got to find out who you are.
Yeah.
Um,
How would you suggest people go about
uh,
maybe trying to find out that?
they do need to sit with themselves a little bit.
Is that through the Reiki and meditation, the energy, and just understanding like this is how I
Yeah,
feel?
yes, because what happens again, as you grow up as children,
Mm,
you want to fit into them different groups.
yeah.
So you might not necessarily like football, but you'll go into football because you want
Yeah.
to fit in with that football crowd. Same with girls, you might not necessarily like dance, but you try and show an interest.
Yeah.
But and become a bit of chameleon in different people's, and that carries on.
Yeah.
Like, and then when you meet you maybe your partner for life,
Yeah.
you sort of like blend into them as well,
Yeah.
and you morph into, and you, because you have to make compromises in a relationship, so you might actually take on their views as
Mm,
opposed to yours. So when something happens in regards to friendships fall off or
mm,
relationships break down,
yeah.
sometimes you are actually forced into finding who you are.
Yeah.
So I always say that or I always advise, and I try and take this advice myself,
Yeah.
whenever I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable or down about a situation, I am actually meant to feel that way, because that's the time that I need to sit.
Yeah.
reflect and go, right, is there something that you can do about this?
Yeah.
Is there, and sometimes it might mean that a relationship like falls to the side because you don't align anymore. It might
Yeah.
mean
It's not meant to
that,
be.
yeah,
Mm.
or it might mean, actually, I'm not doing anything for myself. I need
Yeah.
to. I used to like this, I used to like that, and I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So you need to start putting them things in place.
Yeah.
So it's about creating a toolbox. And
Mm.
again, my clients who come to me who have Reiki, I don't just say Reiki is going to fix everything. You've got
Mm.
it just helps lighten the load and clear the
Right.
mind a bit, and builds
Mm.
that self-confidence in who they are. It
Yeah.
helps them to find themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
And then some of them will try meditation, some of them might alter the diet or
Mm.
alter the friendship groups. It does still need actions in,
Mm.
but everyone's actions are different.
And so what might work for one person will be different for someone else as well.
Exactly.
It's like I say that with like exercise,
Yes.
because like some people might enjoy HIIT classes, other people might enjoy Pilates.
Mm.
You got to find like what works for you, and also your body type as well. I believe that
Yeah.
like I guess with that it's kind of like I guess what works for your energy and your body as well. Like almost like I don't know. I think finding out, sitting with yourself, like there might be certain things might feel uncomfortable, which I
Mm.
suppose that might be a good thing, I guess. But
Mm.
I think as well with like breakups, it like what you were saying before, it's like it forces people, or if something you're going through something, it almost like forces you to really find those things that do make you happy as well. And it's like why sometimes you see like when girls go through breakups and like a month later they've had this massive glow up, and it's just like I love
Mm.
it. I love it for them because it's like they're kind of being forced to really focus on themselves. So
Yeah, yeah.
no, it's yeah. I think you've just got to try those different things, haven't you, and figure out like what works for you. But
Yeah, definitely. And I'm saying sometimes it's being forced just to take some time on your own.
mm,
Um and also not expect to have all the answers. Just
mm,
try different things. If opportunities, this is an opportunity for me today, it's out my comfort
yeah, no,
zone.
it's good.
People go, what you do? Like, I do like to chat, but obviously this is
No,
quite
it's exactly
publicly,
what a
yeah.
podcast is for.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, but no, but it's more just to um not say I do everything right, but it's
mm,
more to say these are my experiences. These are the experiences that my clients, my family have had,
mm.
and just to share that information. And then somebody might take that one thing that you've said and
Yeah, exactly.
and
If you can, I
try
always say
and
that if you can help one person, like, and give them some kind of positivity for the day, to
yeah.
help, that's all that matters to me. This is why I do this. It's called
Mm.
the Self Comfort Diaries because it's also so sometimes I can listen back and be like, stop being an idiot and actually listen to your own advice. Almost
Yes,
that's kind of the
yeah.
idea behind it. But it's also I want to, if I can help one person that's listening, then that makes a massive difference to me. Like that's all I really care about. So it's like, but I think with what you said before about sitting with yourself and doing things on
Mm.
your own, I used to be terrified of that, like literally so scared. And I've really sort of figured out who I am by doing those things, like
Mm.
going on like solo trips, going to like concerts on my own, like, and it's made me feel so empowered and so much better
Mm.
and more sort of confident in who I am. It's scary, like, and I'm not saying it's not scary, but even if you do a little thing where you just go and sit in a coffee shop on your
Yeah.
own, or have a conversation with a stranger, or smile at a stranger, or something like that, you feel more confident. You feel kind of like you can be more yourself,
Yeah.
which is good. But
Well, it's
yeah,
quite empowering, isn't it, to
mm,
do. It's getting to take you out your comfort zone, but it's also recognizing what you actually enjoy to do.
yeah,
So, for
definitely,
example, if you are looking to attract somebody into your life, and
mm,
if you're looking to, and I don't mean, I mean friends, and obviously, you
yeah,
know,
just new
all
people,
relationships,
yeah,
and even like work relationships. You
yeah,
spend a lot of time in work, so you need to understand what makes you tick
yeah,
and what doesn't. So
mm,
that's why we do experience the good and the bad.
mm,
So again, another thing to do is the old pros and cons list
yeah,
as well. You know, if you feel right, this is the area that I'm not happy with. If it's a workplace, you know, what's the strengths of that workplace? What are the
mm,
weaknesses? And then identifying that, and then
yeah,
and it might be that it's not the job for you, or it might be it's just the location you don't like.
mm,
So Yeah, I'm quite a fan of the pros and cons
Yeah.
list. It's quite an old-fashioned one, but when you see it in black and white, if you've
Mm.
got more pros and cons, then it's worth maybe staying where you
Yeah.
are. But if it's got more cons, then it's time to
Yeah, I think
change.
sitting with things as well, and like, because one thing I guess I'm trying to figure out at the minute is where I want to live.
Right.
So I'm open to moving abroad. I'm more open to moving to like America. But I'm still trying to figure it out and figure out exactly where. So I'm doing like these little trips to kind of figure out where I want to be.
Yeah.
And I think sitting with myself doing that has really helped me, because it's like I'm trying to really sort of reduce that chatter in my mind and just be like, right, where am I drawn to and why? And like, what
Mm.
is that like? How is that going to make me feel? And I just want to feel, one thing I want to feel is peace, but I'm a bit of a contradiction, because I also like the excitement and the adventure in life.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like trying to find the balance between that. But I think, yeah, just sitting myself and doing those things really does help.
You've got to put the actions in.
Yeah,
Well, you know, but then when you sit with yourself and you get the ideas, you have got to follow them through.
yeah,
I know that sometimes with some people, finances might be a big thing, but then you need to think outside the box. I
mm,
think when people are just so full up here, though, it's
yeah.
thinking
And
outside
that's
the
again where
box.
Reiki would come
It
in and
is,
help.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not like, you don't have all these well, some people do have light bulb moments.
yeah,
And I have, experienced that myself and seen people have that.
mm,
But it's all like small
mm,
adjustments. And I think most of my clients will sort of like say, their journey,
mm.
it's what you do. It's You can come and have a treatment, you can sit and meditate, but it's what you do with
Do
that
with that, taking
information.
the action.
So
Yeah,
you've got to do something with it.
definitely.
Yeah.
I think like in the early stages of learning about the law of attraction, I remember thinking like it was about like believe you can do this. But then when it actually clicked, I was like, no, you've got to believe, but you've got to do something about it. You've got to act on
Yeah.
that like intuition, and then that's where you sort of everything sort of starts to materialize, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
like with Reiki, then, if for anyone listening and they live within the area,
Mm.
Rochdale or Manchester in general, um, where can they come to you to get Reiki? Like, so you've got your own, it's Find Your Balance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Find Your Balance. It's in Northern Village
Yeah.
in Rochdale. So I have a lovely first floor there where we have the Reiki. And again, we've not really. So basically, what Reiki is, the actual process of having
Mm,
Reiki. So I call my sessions Reiki therapy sessions
mm,
because, again, it brings things to the surface.
yeah.
So we always start with a bit of a chat. And that's one of the reasons is just to make someone feel comfortable coming in. I'm not going to go straight into their energies
Yeah.
when they've just come from work or left the kids like crying
Yeah.
at the door because mum's gone out or dad's like come out. And then and the actual session is I've got a lovely room with all like candles and Himalayan salt lamps, which is another way of helping
Yeah.
to calm the atmosphere. Um, they lie on a massage bed, and there's some music playing, some meditative music. And basically, a Reiki practitioner is attuned to channel that energy to
Mm,
help balance another person's energy. Some Reiki practitioners will do it where they don't touch, they don't have hands on. With
mm,
me, it's a little bit of both. So I
mm,
always start by placing my hands underneath the back of somebody's head, and then I
mm,
work from the top of the head down to the body. The hands that are in contact with the person will they may experience a little bit of heat, a little bit of coolness, a bit of vibration,
mm.
a little bit of cleanse, and basically it is just balancing that person's energy.
Right.
Everybody who has a Reiki session always comes off feeling nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
But as I said, because it can bring things to surface, it can sometimes bring emotion forward, but it will not
Yeah.
bring anything forward that's not for the greatest of good.
Right.
It can also highlight physical ailments. So again, sometimes there could be a few twinges during the
Mm,
session or afterwards. And again, that's bringing it to your attention that needs
yeah.
looking at.
Wow.
It does help lighten the mind,
Wow. Yeah.
lighten the load in the
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
should I say. So then when they leave, again, it does continue to lift over a few days. So
Mm,
it normally, I always say, give it 2 to 3 days, and you know where you are with
I was
it,
going to say, is
because
there any like aftercare with it? Like, do you have, because obviously if it's bringing up the emotions, what happens after? Like, is it up to the individual person to then really sort of figure out what that is and sit with it? Because like you said, it kind of clears out. Does it
yeah.
naturally, can you naturally just kind of figure out what to do after that? Is that how it kind of works? Or
It's almost like an organic process.
yeah.
Again, after the session, the client will sit with me and we'll chat. And it might bring things, and we can talk that
Yeah.
through a little bit. Equally, that person might want to go and discuss things with the partner or the
Yeah.
friends of how they're feeling.
Mm.
So ideally, it's always good to have someone to talk afterwards.
Yeah.
But I do trust that if that person's not got someone, then that will come to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Um, Drinking lots of water like you would do if you went for a massage. Because I
Yeah.
always say with Reiki, it's like going for a massage, even
Yeah.
though you're not getting that physical workout, should I say, your energies are. So it can take a couple of sessions to get you feeling more balanced. It depends on what's going on in your energies.
Yeah.
I always I say compare it to like a massage. You're not going to get that nut out first time. You might need a
Yeah.
few attempts. And certainly if we have been carrying something from childhood, and if people do believe in past lives, we can bring some things that we from our past lives, because like I said, your soul, when you say someone's an old soul,
Yeah.
all that they've been here before,
Yeah.
that is that soul's had some form of learning before.
Yeah.
So that's why we're all very different. Some people will take to things like duck takes to water because their soul's already experienced that.
Yeah.
Whereas when we've also got to be kind to those people who struggle with certain things, because they may have never had any experience
Yeah.
in their soul has, should I say, not their physical, their soul's never experienced that in life. So they are going to be more emotional. They're not going to be maybe able to work that through as easily as someone else. You might be screaming at someone, why can't you do that? But we're all different,
Yeah.
and we need to accept that. We do
Yeah.
need to.
I think as well, like what we were saying before about those things that maybe stick in your mind with childhood, it's like, if you've not got anything nice to say, just don't say it, because you don't know
Yeah.
how it can affect someone.
No.
And
Yeah.
you just gotta be nice and just give out that positive energy and just smile at strangers and give people compliments and stuff, because
Yeah.
it makes their life
Of
better, doesn't
course, yeah. You know what? If you see something positive,
it?
say
Say
it.
it,
It's
100%.
like, if you get good customer service, give a positive review. We're so
Yeah.
quick to criticize and
Yeah.
give it back, 1 star. But how many of us actually, take the time to? I mean, there is, and I must give gratitude for my clients. I
Yeah.
do get a lot of lovely reviews, and people do take the time, and
Yeah.
which keeps me doing what I need to do.
Yeah,
If I didn't
definitely.
have that feedback, and
Yeah.
Reiki doesn't make me a millionaire.
Yeah.
But it's a vocation, it's a
Yeah. It's
passion.
fulfilling for you
It's
to
very
do. Yeah.
fulfilling. And if I ever have a doubt, because I have bills to pay, I have things, you can guarantee that review will come, that new client will come, and I do believe the universe rewards
Yeah.
those that are working with good intention as
Yeah,
well.
definitely.
So I'd prefer to have that than
Yeah.
monetary.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah.
anyone listening, if they're interested, get booked in
Yeah.
for Reiki. So, anyone listening that wants to try Reiki out or anything discussed in this, feel free to, message on Find Your Balance Facebook, and I put a link below as well. So, if you want to book in, you can do. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, it's been
It's been
great.
amazing. I've learned so much.
Good. It's been a great productive Monday
Yeah,
morning.
productive. Nearly wasn't. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share, comment, send with friends, send to friends, and yeah, see you on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.